Welcome to the channel, thanks a lot for joining us. So the Glazers' wealth stems from vast property real estate interests which allow them to branch into sport. Malcolm Glazer was born to Lithuanian parents in Rochester, New York in 1928, the fifth of 7 children. When his father died when he was a teenager, Glazer helped support his family by selling watches door to door. He eventually bought the watch repair concession at the Samson Air Force Base near New York, turning it into a successful business and eventually moving into real estate. Initially owning small homes in Rochester, Glazer expanded his portfolio to include banks, healthcare facilities, television stations and more. He was famously dubbed a slumlord after his holding company, First Alliance Corporation, was accused by residents of adding illegal extra charges onto trailer park rent payments. Glazer's first step into sports ownership came as he bought NFL side Tampa Bay Buccaneers following the death of former owner Hugh Culverhouse in 1995 for a then record $192 million. The team was largely run by Glazer's sons Joel, Brian and Edward. So how did the Glazers take over Manchester United? On the advice of his sons, Malcolm Glazer began accumulating shares in Manchester United in 2003 and had taken full ownership of the club by the end of 2005. In March 2003, he spent around $9 million on his first 2.9%, a figure which had to increase to close to 30 by the end of the following year. In 2004, businessmen John Magnier and JP McManus fell out with former Manchester United manager Sir Alex Ferguson. The pair owned 28.7% of the shares in the club and also invested in Irish racehorse Rock of Gibraltar with Ferguson. An argument over stud rights led to the businessmen wanting out of the club, with Glazer buying their shares in May 2005. This took him to around 57% ownership, well over the 30% threshold which was required to launch a takeover bid. When Glazer took control of 75% of the club's shares within a few days, he was able to delist the company from the stock exchange, with Red Football Limited took 98% ownership within a month, forcing a squeeze out of the 2% who remained. Ed Woodward, who became the club's executive vice chairman, was heavily involved as an advisor on the deal and was recruited by the Glazers in a financial planning role at the club soon after. United were debt-free when the Glazers took over in 2005, but the takeover deal, advised on by Woodward, reportedly saddled the club with over £500 million worth of debt. Malcolm Glazer financed much of the takeover with loans using a leveraged buyout plan rather than their own money, much to the unhappiness of Manchester United supporters. This involved borrowing money against a future asset to buy said asset, in this case incurring interest payments of over £60 million per year. In the years since, it is widely reported the takeover has cost the club over £1 billion in interest and other fees. In late 2000, the club's debt has risen by 133% to £474 million, with revenues impacted heavily by the COVID-19 pandemic. The company's tax registration was moved from Old Trafford to the Cayman Islands in 2012, and the club has paid a yearly dividend, most of which goes to the Glazers since 2015. Dividends published on the club's 2018-2019 accounts totaled £23 million. Around 18 million of this was reportedly split between the 6 Glazers siblings. Thanks in part to huge and varied commercial contracts signed during the Glazer era, club revenues have more than doubled since 2005, and United were named as the 3rd most valuable football club in the world by Forbes. They also placed 4th on the Deloitte's Football Money League in 2021, with only Barcelona, Real Madrid and Bayern Munich ahead of them. Prior to the Glazers' takeover in 2005, media mogul Rupert Murdoch had attempted to buy the club in 1999, having a £623 million offer accepted by the Manchester United board. However, the takeover was eventually blocked by the government's Monopolies and Mergers Commission due to the potential conflict of interest with Murdoch's sports media investment. When Magnier and McManus looked to sell 28.7% stake eventually brought by the Glazers, one of the reported interested parties was former Libyan dictator Colonel Muammar al-Gaddafi. Mehmet Dalman, involved in Glazer's eventual takeover, claimed he was summoned to Libya in 2004 and later told the Sunday Times that Colonel Gaddafi was a whisker away from sealing the deal. The Manchester United Supporters Trust has been looking to return ownership of the club to the supporters since 2005 and came close in 2010. The Glazers' part in the abandoned Super League plans in 2021 led to renewed calls by Musk for a change in ownership, a 50+1 model being advanced as an alternative. A group of wealthy United fans dubbed the Red Knights discussed a takeover bid with them, but the deal eventually collapsed as the group refused to meet the Glazers' valuation. Lord Jim O'Neill and Sir Paul Marshall were part of a group and re-entered the stage in 2021 to support the idea of a 50+1 model. In 2019, Saudi Arabian Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman was linked with a string of takeover attempts, reportedly willing to pay £3 billion for the club. In response to rumours, Woodward told club fanzine United We Stand that the Glazers are in it for the long term, with no plans to sell the club.